Hello students, we are going to start the lecture series on the subject of electricity and magnetism part 1. So this is a subject for the students of BSc non-medical first year. And for the semester system, this is for first semester students. So myself Amandeep Kaur and I teach at S Government College of Science Education and Research. So I'm going to start this series of electricity and magnetism. First of all, we are just going to revise the basic concepts of vector algebra. So you might have done in your plus 1 plus 2 class the basic concept of vector algebra. So there are two physical quantities. First is the scalar quantity and another is the vector quantity. So scalar is any physical quantity which has magnitude, but it does not have any direction. It just has a magnitude. So example is mass. For example, if you have 1 kilogram of sugar, so 1 kilogram is just the magnitude. So mass is a scalar quantity. It does not have any direction. Similar is the volume. Then is the work. For example, if 1 joule of work is done to move a particular object, so 1 joule, it is just the magnitude and it does not have a direction. So these are the examples of scalar quantities. So second physical quantity is the vector quantity. So the vector quantity, it is defined as any physical quantity which has magnitude, it has direction, plus it obeys the laws of vector addition. So example of vector quantity, they are momentum, torque. So there are various examples of vector quantities. So those quantities, they have magnitude as well as they have direction, and the very important third condition is that it must obey the laws of vector addition. So what is the significance of this third condition? That it should obey laws of vector addition. So what is the significance of this condition? For example, current. Current in a circuit, it is represented by capital I. So current, it has magnitude plus it has direction. So example, if the wire, there is a straight wire, so and the current is moving in the direction of the right hand side. So the current, it has a magnitude as well as it has a particular direction, but the current, it does not obey the laws of vector addition. So vector addition laws we will do in the upcoming lecture. So the current, it does not obey the laws of vector addition. The current, it simply gets added up and it does not add according to the laws of vector addition. So the quantities that have magnitude plus direction plus they obey the laws of vector addition, they are called the vector quantities. And the very well known example is a force, velocity, then we have momentum, then we have torque. So there are various examples of vector quantities. So vector, it is represented by the letter of the vector which represents a particular vector. That is, we have, for example, the force. Force is represented by F variable. So the F will be written instead of capital A, and a vector sign is drawn on the top of that particular variable. So over here we call this quantity as A vector. Similarly, this can be represented, a physical quantity, it can be represented by small letters, it can be represented by capital letters. So this is the representation of a vector. Now the magnitude of a vector, it is represented by writing the modulus of the vector. This symbol, it represents the magnitude of a vector. So here we have written A vector modulus, that is A vector magnitude, or small a vector. Small a vector can also be the representation of a vector. We write two bars on the two sides of the vector, so that gives us the magnitude of a vector. Or simply we can eradicate these, we can remove these bar signs, and also we can remove the vector sign and can simply write the magnitude as capital A or small a. Now next is the definition of a unit vector. What is a unit vector? Now the unit vector, it has magnitude which is equal to 1 unit, or you can say it has a magnitude equal to 1. Now unit vector, it represents the direction of a particular vector. So let's say that there is a vector, and the unit vector which is corresponding to a vector is represented by a cap or small a cap. So a cap is written at the top of the letter. So the a cap, it represents the, or you can say the unit vector, it represents the direction of a particular vector. So let's say there is a vector capital A, then the unit vector corresponding to this particular vector will be written as, it will be equal to a cap will be equal to a vector divided by the magnitude of the a vector. So the vector itself divided by the magnitude of the vector. Or you can simply write it as a cap is equal to a vector divided by a. Or you can simplify it and can write a vector. A vector will be simply equal to capital A into a cap. That is this equation, a vector is equal to capital A means magnitude times its unit vector. So a vector is written as magnitude times its direction, because the unit vector, it represents the direction of a vector. So the vector, it is written as magnitude times the direction, which is the unit vector. Now vector representation, now the vector representation in terms of the Cartesian coordinates. Cartesian coordinates means the x, y and z coordinates. So any vector a vector, let's suppose this is the a vector which originates from the origin of these axes, that is the tail of a vector. This is the tail of a vector. Now a vector is drawn as an arrow. This is the tail of the vector, and arrow, this represents the direction in which this vector is directing. So the a vector, the tail of this vector is at origin, and this is the vector itself. So this vector, it has a projection on the x-axis. That is, if you draw a perpendicular on the xz plane, then this represents this whole length from origin to this particular point. This will be equal to ax. That is, this is the projection of the vector on the x-axis. Similarly, this whole length up to this point, this will be equal to az. This is the z component of the vector, or you can say the projection of a vector on the z-axis, and the perpendicular which is drawn on the y-axis. So the distance from origin to this particular point, so this length will be called as the projection of vector on the y-axis. So a vector, total a vector, it has three projections. It has some projection on the x-axis, it has some projection on the y-axis and on the z-axis. So a vector, we know it is written as magnitude times its direction. Now the direction of x-axis is given by I cap, direction of y-axis is given by j cap, and the direction of z-axis is given by k cap. So we know a vector, it can be written as magnitude times its direction. So the magnitude of this vector on the x-axis, magnitude of a vector on the x-axis is equal to ax. So the vector, the x component of vector is ax. So this is the magnitude of the vector on the x-axis times its direction. So since the projection, this ax is on the x-axis times the direction, this will be the direction of x-axis. So this will be I cap plus the projection on the y-axis times the direction of the y-axis plus the projection on the z-axis times the direction of the z-axis. So this is how a vector, it is represented in Cartesian coordinates. Similarly, let's say there is a, instead of a vector, we have a r vector, small r vector, which is also called as position vector of a particular point. So let's say there is a particular point in the space P of x comma y comma z. So this is the particular point. So the position vector of this point will be OP vector, and let's say this is represented by r vector. So r vector is the position vector of P point. Now let's say it has a projection on the x-axis, and that is equal to some value, let's say that is equal to x. Similarly, this vector, it will have a projection of y on y-axis, so that let's say that projection is equal to y, and similarly it will have a projection on the z-axis, so that projection, let's suppose that is equal to z. So r vector, the position vector of a particular point x comma y comma z, this will be equal to xi cap plus yj cap plus zk cap. Then the magnitude of a vector, since the vector a vector, it is represented by axi cap plus ayj cap plus azk cap. So the magnitude of a vector, it is equal to square root of the sum of the square of all the three components of the vector. So this is equal to square root of ax square plus ay square plus az square. So this formula, it gives you the magnitude of a particular vector. Next we are going to look at is the various laws of vector addition, how the vectors they get added up. So now we will study this particular condition that we have written, that the vector quantity, it must obey the laws of vector addition. So the first law of vector addition is the triangle law of vector addition. So if two vectors, here we have two vectors a vector and b vector. So if the two vectors, they represent the two sides of a triangle, and they are arranged in this particular manner as they are shown in this figure, that the head of the first vector, it touches the tail of the second vector. So if two vectors, they are represented both in magnitude and direction by the two sides of a triangle. So they represent the two sides of a triangle, and they are taken in the same order. Same order means it has in this direction, in this particular, this a vector is directed in this particular direction and b vector is directed in this particular direction. So they are in the same order. They are in the same order means the head of the first vector, it touches tail of the second vector. So this is called as same order. So when the two vectors, they represent the two sides of a triangle and they are in the same order, then the resultant vector after the addition of the two vectors, it is given by the third side of the triangle taken in the opposite order. So this will be the opposite order, that is the tail, it touches the tail, and head, it touches the head. Same order means head touches the tail of the another vector, that is the same order, whereas opposite order means the tail, it touches the tail, and the head, it touches the head of another vector. So this is the triangle law of vector addition, that the resultant of the addition of two vectors, it is represented by the third side of the triangle and the direction is in the opposite order. So the next law of vector addition is the polygon law of vector addition, when we have more than two vectors. So if a number of vectors, let's say a vector, b vector, c vector, d vector, e vector, they represent both in magnitude and direction. They are represented by the sides of an open polygon. They represent the sides of an open polygon. So you can just not consider this r vector yet. If there is no r vector, so this is an open polygon. So a, b, c, d, e vector, they represent the sides of a polygon, of an open polygon, taken in the same order. So they are in the same order, that is head touches the tail of another vector. So you can clearly see that they are in the same order. So if the two vectors, they represent the sides of an open polygon, then their resultant vector r vector, which is the addition of all the vectors, so this vector is represented by the closing side of the polygon taken in the, this is the closing side of the polygon, the last side, remaining side of the polygon. So this resultant vector r vector, it represents the closing side of the polygon taken in the opposite order. So this is taken in the opposite order, that is tail touches the tail and head touches the head. Then the law is the parallelogram law of vector addition. So in this, if the two vectors A vector and B vector, they represent the two adjacent sides of a parallelogram. So they are representing the two adjacent sides of a parallelogram. So, and you can see that the tail touches the tail of the first vector. The tail of the first vector touches the tail of the second vector. So A vector and B vector, these are the two vectors. They represent the two adjacent sides of a parallelogram drawn from the same point. So they are drawn from the same point. Then their resultant vector R vector, it is given by the diagonal of the parallelogram. It is given by the diagonal of the parallelogram drawn from the same point, drawn from the same common point. So this will be the direction of the resultant vector, and the magnitude of the resultant vector will be given by the length of the diagonal of the parallelogram. Next concept that we are going to look at is the product of vectors, how the vectors they get multiplied. So first is the multiplication of a vector by a scalar. First of all, we will multiply a vector by a scalar, and then we will multiply a vector by a vector. So first of all is the multiplication of a vector by a scalar. So this is the vector A vector, and it is multiplied, simple multiplication. This is a simple multiplication that we do in mathematics. So we have multiplied this vector with a scalar, which is small a. So small a is the scalar. So A vector, we know it can be written as magnitude, capital A, which is capital A magnitude, times the unit vector or the direction, which is given by A cap. So capital A cap, it represents the A vector. So this can be written in this manner. So we can simplify it and can club the magnitudes small a and capital A, and it can be written as small a into capital A times the unit vector. So this is the resultant vector. We have multiplied a vector by a scalar. So when a vector is multiplied by a scalar, the resultant vector is given by small a into capital A, which is the product of the magnitude of a vector and a scalar. So small a into capital A, this is the product of the magnitude of capital A, or you can say magnitude of a vector and the scalar. So they are multiplied. So the magnitude of the resultant vector will be given by this product, and the direction of this resultant vector, because this will be also a vector. When a vector is multiplied by a scalar, so the resultant is a vector. Resultant quantity is a vector, and the direction of this resultant quantity, it will be given by capital A cap, or you can say the direction of the, it is given by the direction of the given vector. So its magnitude, the resultant vector, it has a magnitude of product of the magnitude of A vector and the scalar, and the direction of the resultant vector is same as that of the direction of the vector that we are talking about. So next multiplication or next product is the scalar product, or it is also called as dot product of vectors. So we are going to consider two vectors, A vector and B vector. So we are going to do the scalar product. Now we will look what is the definition of a scalar product, and it is also called as a dot product of two vectors. So scalar product or the dot product, the resultant product that we get, it is a scalar quantity, that is it has only magnitude, it does not have any direction. So the definition of a scalar product is that it is the product of the magnitudes of A vector and B vector, that is the scalar product of two vectors. Let's say we are talking about A vector and B vector. So this scalar product is defined as the product of the magnitude of two vectors and cosine of the angle between the two vectors. So this is equal to simply A times B times cos of theta, if theta is the angle between these two vectors. So scalar product is defined in this manner, and this is represented by this scalar product or the dot product. It is represented by A vector dot, we write a dot in between the two vectors. So this represents the scalar product. and this is equal to magnitude of first vector times magnitude of the second vector times the cosine of the angle between the two vectors. So let's say this is A vector and this is B vector, and this is the angle theta between the two vectors. So the dot product is given by AB cos theta. Now dot product, it also has a formula in terms of the coordinates. So A vector, it is represented by, it can be written as AX I cap plus AY j cap plus AZ k cap. B vector, it can be written as BX I cap plus BY j cap plus BZ k cap. So A vector dot product with B vector, it also has another formula, and it is equal to the sum of the product of each component, sum of the product of the components of the two vectors. So this is equal to AX BX plus AY BY plus AZ BZ. So that whole term will give you A vector dot product with B vector. So you can clearly see there are only magnitudes, there is no direction, so this is a scalar quantity. Similarly, we can find the cosine of, or we can also find the angle between the two vectors. So in a question, if you are asked to find the angle between the two vectors, so you can simply do the dot product of the two vectors, and we can divide this dot product by the magnitude of each vector, and this formula, it comes from this particular formula, that is A vector dot B vector is equal to AB cos theta. So cos theta will be equal to A dot B vector divided by AB. So A vector dot B vector, it is given by this formula, AX BX plus AY BY plus AZ BZ divided by the magnitude of the two vectors. So A vector, it has a magnitude of under root of AX square plus AY square plus AZ square, and B vector, it has a magnitude of under root of BX square plus BY square plus BZ square. Then we have the vector product or the cross product of two vectors. So the scalar product, it is a scalar quantity, whereas the vector product between the two vectors, it is a vector quantity. So it's direct, it will have a particular direction. The vector product of two vectors, it will have a particular direction, and it will have a magnitude also. So the magnitude is given by AB sin theta. As we have done in dot product, A vector dot B vector is equal to AB cos theta. In vector product, the magnitude of this particular vector is equal to AB sin theta, and this is vector product is represented by A vector cross B vector. So this is the representation of a vector product or the cross product. So this will be equal to AB sin theta times n cap. Since cross product or the vector product, it is a vector quantity, so it is having a magnitude of AB sin theta times it will have a direction, and let's say the direction is given by n cap. So this is a random direction we are talking about. So this will give you a particular vector product of two vectors gives you a resultant vector, and let's say that is C vector. In our case, that is C vector is equal to A vector cross B vector. Now the example of cross product is in case of torque. Now torque is represented by tau vector, and this torque is equal to R vector cross product with force vector. So R vector is the displacement and F vector, this is the force vector. Now the example of dot product is the work done to move a particular object. So let's say F vector force is applied on an object to make a displacement of R vector. So the work is given by force dot product with the displacement vector. So these are the various examples. Now what is the direction of the cross product of two vectors? The direction of a cross product of two vectors is simply given by right hand thumb rule. Let's say you want to find the direction of A vector cross product with B vector. So we have A vector in this direction and B vector in this particular direction. So A vector cross B vector, it will give you C vector, a resultant vector. So the magnitude of C vector will be given by AB sin theta. Theta is the angle between two vectors. Now what is the direction of C vector? The direction of C vector is given by right hand thumb rule, that is you curl your fingers from the vector which is written in the first, in this particular term. The vector which is written in the first position of this expression is the A vector, and we have to find the direction of C vector, which is equal to A vector cross B vector. So A vector is written first. So you curl your fingers from A vector to B vector. You curl your fingers from A vector to B vector. So the direction of the thumb will give you the direction of the C vector. So if it is A vector cross B vector, you curl your finger from A to B vector, and the direction of the thumb, it will give you the direction of C vector. So in this case, the direction of our thumb will be in the out of this particular page. The direction of the thumb will be in the top position, so it will be out of the page. So the direction of C vector will be in the upward direction, so it will come out of the paper. Next is, if you want to calculate the direction, find the direction of a vector D vector which is given by B vector cross. To find the direction of vector B cross A, we curl our fingers of the right hand side. We curl our fingers from vector B to vector A, and the direction in which our thumb will be pointing when we will do so, the direction of our thumb will be in the downward direction. So the resultant vector B cross vector A, it will be pointing in the downward direction, and in the case of vector A cross B, the resultant vector will be pointing, the resultant C vector, it will be pointing in the upward direction or out of the paper. So as you can clearly see, the magnitude of C vector and D vector, it will be the same, whereas their direction will be inversed. So we can say that A vector cross B vector, it is equal to minus of B vector cross A vector, and this is just due to the inversion in the direction. The A vector cross B vector, it can be written in the form of a determinant. So in the first row we write I cap, j cap, k cap, and in the second row we write the components of the vector which is written at first. So at first we have a vector A, so we write the components of A vector as ax, ay, az, and in the last row we write the components of the vector which is written at the second, which is the B vector. So we write bx, by, bz, and when you solve this determinant, then you will get a vector. So you will get a vector, so that will be the resultant vector of A cross B. Next is the triple product of vectors. So till now we have studied the scalar product, dot product and the cross product, which was the product between the two vectors. So now we have triple product of vectors. Now we will be having three vectors. So let's say they are A vector, B vector and C vector. So first triple product is the scalar triple product. Scalar triple product means that the result that we will get will be a scalar. So scalar triple product, it is given by cross product of two vectors. When you do the cross product of two vectors, you will get a vector, and that vector, the resultant vector is done a dot product with the first vector. So A vector dot product with the resultant vector of the cross product of these two vectors. So first of all we will do B cross C vector, that will be a resultant vector. Then we will do the dot product of A vector with that resultant vector. And when it is simplified, when this scalar triple product is simplified, so we come to conclusion that scalar triple product, it can be written in the form of determinant, where in the first row we have the components of the first vector A, then we have in the second row we have the components of the second vector B, then in the third row, last row, we have the components of the C vector, or which is written in the third position. So scalar triple product, it can be easily calculated using this determinant. So this cross product The significance of this cross product is that it gives us the area of the parallelogram. Now A vector and B vector, let's say they form the two sides of a parallelogram, A vector and B vector. So A vector cross B vector, it will give you the magnitude of A vector cross B vector. It will give us the area of this particular parallelogram. And the direction of A vector cross B vector, that will be the direction of the area vector of this parallelogram. Now the scalar triple product, what is the physical significance? That this particular term, it is a scalar, it will come out to be a scalar quantity. So the significance of this scalar triple product is that this particular term, when it is calculated, so this gives us the volume of the parallelepiped. So let's say A vector, B vector, C vector, these are the three lengths of a parallelepiped, which is a three-dimensional object. So let's say this is A vector, this is the B vector, and let's say this is the C vector. So this is the parallelogram which is formed, and then we get a parallelepiped. Is formed. So this is not a cuboid, because in a cuboid we have 90-degree angle between all the vectors. Now the C vector, it is not perpendicular to A vector and B vector, it is at a particular acute angle, or it can also be obtuse angle. So this is not 90-degree angle. So this is a parallelepiped. So the scalar triple product, it gives us the volume of this parallelepiped. Now there is a cyclic property of scalar triple product which will be used in the upcoming lectures. So we have written over here A vector, B vector, C vector. Now we will write B vector, C vector, then A vector. If you are going in this particular direction, so we have to go in the same direction. If you are going clockwise, so you have to always go clockwise direction. So we have A, B, C vector, then we will have B, C, A vector, and at the last we will have C, A, B vector. So this is the cyclic property, that when these are written in this manner, so the scalar triple product of these vectors. This is the scalar triple product, then this will be the scalar triple product, and then this will be the scalar triple product of the third term. So these all scalar triple product, when they are written in the cyclic manner, they all will come out to be equal to they will come out to be same. Next triple product is the vector triple product. So vector triple product, it is obviously the resultant will be a vector quantity, and it is represented by cross product of two vectors. Then the resultant of this cross product, it will be a vector. Then we do the cross product of the resultant vector with this third vector, A vector. So this whole vector, this will be a vector quantity, because we know cross product, it gives you a vector quantity. So this whole term will give us a vector. Now the direction of this whole vector, it will lie in the plane of B vector and C vector. So you can clearly see the cross product of two vectors. Let's say we have B vector and we have C vector. So the cross product of two vectors, it gives us a resultant vector which is perpendicular to the plane of the two vectors. So the resultant vector will be in this direction. Let's say that is D vector. So this is the resultant of B cross C. Now we will do the cross product of the resultant vector with the third vector, which is A vector. So now we are going to do A vector cross D. So the cross product of A vector and D vector, it will be the resultant vector, and it will be perpendicular to the plane of A vector and D vector. So let's say this is the A vector. This is the A vector. Now B cross C, it gives us a vector which is D vector, and it is perpendicular to the plane of B vector and C vector. So the cross product of A and D, it will give you another vector which will lie which will be perpendicular to both D and A vector. So that will also lie in this particular plane of B vector and C vector. So A cross B cross C, this vector, it lies in the plane of B vector and C vector. the vector triple product, it can be evaluated easily. So we have A cross B cross C. So first of all we will do the cross product of B and C vector. So the cross product, we know it is written simply in the form of determinant. So B cross C, first of all we will write it in the form of determinant. Then we do the cross product of A vector. Now A vector can be written in the form of its components, that is Ax I cap plus Ay j cap plus Az k cap. So we will do the cross product with this whole determinant. So you can evaluate this because this is also a cross product. This is A vector cross product with this vector. So this is also a cross product, and hence this can also be written in the form of a determinant. So first of all what you will do is you will solve this determinant. You will get a particular vector in the form of I cap, j cap and k cap. So then you will do the cross product by putting it in the determinant. So first row will have I, j, k cap. Then second row will have the components of the first vector, and the last row will be the components x, y and z components of this second vector. Now on simplification, when you will simplify this determinant, so the resultant vector will be given by this particular formula. So you will just simplify it, and you have to do some clubbing of various terms. So you will simply get that A cross B cross C, this is equal to B vector. Simple multiplication, this is the simple multiplication, it is not a dot product. So simple B vector times A dot C vector minus C vector times A dot B vector. So you can simply remember A cross B cross C. So first of all we have to do the cross product of B and C. So whichever vectors they are in the round bracket, so first of all you will take out the first vector, that is B vector. Then we are left with two vectors A and C. So you will simply do the dot product of these two vectors minus, then you will take out the second vector which is in the round bracket, that is C vector, and then you do the dot product of the remaining two vectors which are A and B vector. So this is how you can simply remember the cross product of three vectors. Then we have quadruple product of vectors. So till now we have done the product of two vectors, then we did the product of three vectors. Now we have quadruple product of vectors. So it has four vectors. So we will be having now four vectors A, B, C and D. So first of all we will do A cross B and we will do C cross D. In this case also we have A cross B, then we have C cross D. So this vector A cross B is a resultant, this is also a vector, C cross D is also a vector. So we will do the dot product between these two vectors, or we can do the cross product between these two vectors. So we get two category of quadruple product of vectors. So this is the scalar quadruple product of vectors, and this will be a vector quadruple product of vectors. The first is the scalar quadruple product of vectors, that is A cross B dot product with C cross D. So first of all we will suppose A cross B to be a random vector which is x vector. So we will get x vector dot product with C cross D will remain as it is. So now we will use the cyclic property of the scalar triple product. As you can see, this is now a scalar triple product. Now we have three vectors, x vector, C vector and D vector, and this is the scalar triple product. So we will use the cyclic property. Now we have xcd. This can be simply written as dxc. We are going in the clockwise direction. xcd, it can be written as dxc. So this can be written as dxc, then dot product over here and cross product between these two vectors. So this can second side it can be written in the form of third expression. So d vector dot product with, now we will substitute the expression for x vector. Now x vector we had supposed that it is equal to A cross B. So we will just substitute in terms of A cross B. So we will get d dot product with A cross B cross C. Now we have a vector triple product over here. So we will just simplify it. Now we know A cross B vector, it is equal to minus of B cross A vector. So now we have this whole term in the bracket A cross B. This is a vector, this is a, let's say this is Y vector, resultant vector. So now we have y vector cross c vector. So y vector cross c vector, it can be written as minus of c vector cross y vector. So we have just shifted their positions. So when you shift the position in the cross product, we get a minus sign. So this is the vector triple product. Now vector triple product we have already seen. It can be written as, now we have in the round bracket we have two vectors. First is the a vector. So we will take a vector outside, a vector times dot product of the remaining two vectors, which is b and c. So you can simply write c dot b or you can write b dot c, because a dot, for dot product we know a dot b vector is equal to b dot a vector. So minus b vector will come outside, the second vector in the round bracket, it will come outside, then you do the dot product of the remaining two vectors a and c. Now you take minus sign inside the bracket, you will just reverse these positions. So you will get this particular term. Now this can be taken, this bracket it can be now opened. Now we have dot product over here, so we will just get d dot b vector times a dot c, minus we will get d dot product with a vector times b dot c. So you will get this particular expression. So this over here in this term and in this term, there is simple multiplication, there is no dot product, whereas here we have a dot product, here we have a dot product, here also there is dot product, and here also. So we can just shift the position a dot c we can take in front, and this we can write b dot d. This can be taken in the second position. We are just shifting the positions. So b dot c it can be taken over here, and a dot d it can be taken at the second position. So this can simply be written in the form of a determinant. So this is a dot c times b dot d minus b dot c times a dot d. So the scalar quadruple product of vectors a, b, c, d, it can be written in the form of this determinant. So when you solve this determinant, you will get the scalar quadruple product of these four vectors. So next is the vector quadruple product of vectors. So we have two vectors a cross b cross c cross d. So we will first assume this as x vector. So we will get x vector cross product with c cross d. So now we have the vector triple product. So in the bracket we have c vector cross d. So first of all you will take c vector outside and do the dot product of the remaining two vectors, which is x dot d, minus d vector you will take outside, and then you do the dot product of the remaining two vectors, which is x and c. So you will just substitute now the expression of x vector, which is simply a cross b, So this is how you get the result of the vector quadruple product of vectors. Or you can substitute c cross d as y vector. In this particular expression you can substitute c cross d as y vector, and then you can simplify in this particular manner. So you can do in any way. Either this way, you put the first two vectors, cross product of first two vectors as x vector, or you can substitute the cross product of second two vectors as a vector. So you can do either way.